To lay out the base of your passive amplifier, you're going to need the measurements that you took from your phone, accurate to a 16th, including speaker location. You'll also need your block of wood. Now these have already been cut squares, so you don't have to recut those. You need a tape measure and a square and a nice sharp pencil. I'm going to start by laying out each of the 3 sections I'll need to make up the base. The width of the phone, or of my phone, yours will be different, is 2 5/8. Add 1 1/4 onto that measurement. So I'm going to add 1 1/4 to 2 5/8. That gives me 3 7/8. So I'm going to mark 3 7/8 on my board. Use my square and mark that line off. I can measure it again. 3 7/8. Use my square, mark it off, and I'll do it one more time. 3 7/8, and mark it off. Each of these 3 pieces is going to be a section of your base. This is strap here, so I'm just going to put an X in it. Now in this center piece, I'm going to lay out the pocket that we cut in for the phone. In my case, I have speakers coming out the bottom, so I need to think about that. If I don't have speakers coming out the bottom, I'm going to mark in a line 1 inch across the bottom. That's the base. That's how far down you want your phone to go in. Leave this material on the bottom. Since I do have speakers on the bottom, I'm going to go up 1 1/2 inches. Now on my iPhone, the speakers land on each side, so I'm just going to go up 1 1/2 inches in the center, like this. The total width of my phone is 2 5/8. I want to give myself some extra space so the phone doesn't have to jam in real hard, so I'm going to add 1/4 inch onto this measurement. 2 5/8 plus 1/4 is 2 7/8. So I want to center my 2 7/8 right on this board. I'm going to start by finding the center and marking it. I'll mark it right on my bottom line here. So right here, mark the center, and then measure half of that distance each side. So 2 7/8, I will place the half measurement right here. Mark and mark. You should have 1/2 inch on each side. Take your square and continue these lines all the way to the top. Next, I'm going to lay in the location for the speakers. The speakers are 7/8 of an inch from each side. So measuring from the edges I drew, I'll measure 7/8 and place a mark. Measure from the other side 7/8 and make a mark. Now I can use my square to square this off and square this off here. So everything in this center area is what I want to get rid of. Place some X's in there so you know where you want to cut. I don't want to cut this line, so I'm just going to erase that off there. I also don't want to cut these lines, so I'm going to erase those off there and just squiggle them out like that. The next steps will be cutting this out on the bandsaw.